What do you think we need to do over the next couple of months? And, do you see the vaccine sort of catching up, and we've got 3 or 4 weeks of a tipping point, and then I think the vaccines will start to kick in, and, you'll start to see some light at the end of the tunnel, I guess we like to say. I just wonder if you can comment on that.
Sure. Well, we've been through the ringer for the last year. I mean, I don't think anybody expected at New Year's Day that this virus that we had kind of heard about distantly would cause this kind of really almost havoc with our ability to be with family and friends, the ability of businesses to conduct their business as they usually do. And I really want to say that I appreciate everybody's cooperation and collaboration over the last year, because I know it hasn't been easy for any of us. I think that when this all started, it kind of sent a chill to me, because I thought, oh my gosh, we've got a virus. There are 7 billion people in the world, all of whom are susceptible, which means it's not going to stop until everybody has been exposed, or at least a pretty big percentage of the population. And that means that there's going to be times when we've got lots of people ill, and then the hospital beds will fill up, the ICU beds will fill up, and all the things that we've heard about why we needed to have the lockdowns and so on. So we did get a lockdown last March and April, and then with that, and the fact that this looks like it's going to start behaving at some point in time like a typical winter's virus. So we actually had a good summer, I would say, and maybe because of restrictions, but I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that these viruses don't circulate as much in the summer, and also we can get out, and so we can have visitors on the deck and still keep our 2 meters, rather than having people with shared airspace inside. It's been a tough winter for that reason. But I thought this, knowing what happens with pandemics, the pandemic of 1918, 1919, I kept having little waves. I think they hit the third wave sometime within a couple of years after the initial wave, and it dragged on for 3-4 years in terms of the impact that it had. And that's all I saw in April and May, worried that we would not be able to get back to normal. But you mentioned the vaccine, and it's actually remarkable. It's actually almost magical that we have access not to just one, but to 4 vaccines, 3 of which we have supplies, and 1 of which we're still waiting to be able to combat this. Because the only way we can really stop this virus from circulating is to have enough people out there in the community who are immune, so that it can't circulate. If you do that by getting people ill, letting people get ill, then the hospital beds are going to fill up. Because even if 1% of the population gets complications, that is a huge number when you consider the population of Ontario. 1% of the Ontario population is 150,000 people. We don't have anywhere near that ICU bed capacity. So the other way we can get this to this place where the virus can't circulate is by getting enough people immunized. And so when we actually, in less than a year, had vaccines developed that not only were safe, but were remarkably protective, it just was almost like magic. And I can tell you that these viruses provide better protection. They are more effective than the influenza vaccines that we use every year and have been using for decades. So when you say the light at the end of the tunnel, Mayor Latham, I think there is light at the end of the tunnel. The thing I would like to say to people right now is that we're almost there, and don't be deceived by the light, because the light's there, but we need to keep our behaviors protective, because until enough people get immunized, like just if someone gets the vaccine themselves, it's not enough. We have to get the population immunized. I think that we can't let down our guard. The goal right now is to keep as many people from getting infected as we possibly can, so that they can get the advantage of the vaccine. And the only little problem right now is the supply, which is why we're having, to be judicious about how this is rolled out, making sure the highest risk groups get done first, and trying to keep to the phases that the province of Ontario has put into place. But we're going to get through it. And I am certain that everybody in Ontario, and of course, everybody in Kawartha Lakes, will have an opportunity to have this vaccine. General Hill, you're saying by the end of June. I think that's great if that turns out to be correct. Maybe even sooner if the supply heats up. So I'm going to be looking forward to that time, maybe by the end of the summer when we've all had our 2 doses and we can kind of then get guidance about how we can let our guard down. But until then, we still have to wear the mask. We still have to not gather, not travel, all those things so that we can keep it at bay until we all can have a chance to get the vaccine.